Welcome to Aaron Plays. In this episode, I will be introducing the Fire in the Lake Tru'ng expansion, setting it up, ready to play, and I'll be doing a series of videos beyond this with myself playing the US and using the Tru'ng module to play the other three nations and see how it goes. My experience of the Tru'ng expansion is I've played up to the first coup, just to try it out, and yeah, it seems to work okay. Now I'd like to actually play a whole game with it, and I thought we could go through this together. So I'm going to be using Vassal. I've set up the scenario so far as a full game. So we'll have the full 72 cards, and going through the setup process for the game. I'm intending, as I say, to play the US. I haven't yet decided if I'm going to play historical or if I'm going to play complete a random mix of the cards. But I will go through the whole process of setting up the game, what the Tru'ng does differently for the setup, and yeah, let's just take it from there. So as I previously said, I am playing the US. So the setup, I'm setting up the scenario as dictated. The differences between the Tru'ng and playing it normally, I will go through now. So it says I've got to create the Tru'ng deck. Now that's one thing I can't control via the Vassal. There is no Vassal cards for it, so I'm going to be using my real cards. So now the Tru'ng deck itself has 24 cards. Each faction has 6 cards for it, but whatever nations are played by a player, you remove their cards from the deck. So there are 6 US cards. I have removed them from the deck, and then I shuffle the other 18. Now, what I will be doing with these cards, and they have each card has 2 faces. You play with the face up, and then occasionally you might have to play with them face down, as dictated to by the cards and the instructions. So what I will do with these, I've taken a photograph of every card, and when a card is drawn, I will actually bring a picture up of a particular card. Okay, so let's see. On here, take a little bit of time to load. I'll obviously try and do this a lot smoother when we do the full video. So as you can see on here, I can zoom in on any individual card to find out, and then we'll go through it step by step and see what it means and how it's worked out from there. I've also done pictures of the other cards that are in the game, so we can go through those as well. Okay, now regarding the normal rules of the game, I will explain as I'm doing things, what I'm doing, why I'm doing, and explaining the actual rules of a standard game, so you can learn to play, or hopefully learn to play the game following my instructions. I'm not going to sit here down and do a rule speak, going through every single rule, but as and when they occur, I will explain the rules of the game. So with my deck shuffled, place it to the side. Because I'm playing the US, I've got to keep track also of the Arvin resources. You know, the Arvin are being played by one of the bots, but the NVA and the VC do not track resources in this. There's a different methodology it uses. The NVA cylinder is not used, but the VC one is, and it's called I think it's called the Agitator level. Okay, so NP, set the NP non-player VC resource cylinder to 1d3 as its starting agitate total. So 1d3. So here's my little dice thing. So VC, it's a 5, so 1d3, so it's on 3. Okay. All right. So every time I need to bring up die rolls, I'll bring up this so you can see the rolls I make. But I'm trying to keep as much screen as possible for the board. And yes, once I have set this up, you will not see my wonderful visage anymore. I know in some of the videos I've made, I've tried, but this has got a big footprint. So I like to keep as much as possible visible for yourselves. So now it comes to the cards here. So do I want to play it historical? So what that actually means, okay. The 64, as you can see here, there's a 64, 65, and a 68 deck. In these cards, there are 24 64 cards, 48 65, and 48 68 cards. In our scenario, we will be taking 12 from this deck, 24 from this deck, and 24 from this deck. That will make our complete deck of cards. And they'll be sorted in, if we were playing with a physical game, they'll be sorted into 5 piles. 1 pile from the 64, 2 piles from 65, and 2 piles from 68. We would then shuffle the coup cards, 1 going into the 64 bunch of 12, and then shuffle, so it could be anywhere amongst that 12. 2 into the 65, 1 in the first lot of 12 and another lot of 12. Again, each of those lots of 12 shuffled. And 2 into the 68, again, 1 in each and shuffled. So what that will mean is, and then we put the 68s at the bottom of the deck, 65s on top of that, and then the 64 on the top of that. So you then have 5 sets of cards, each of 12, each with a coup card in amongst them. So coup card could be the first one, that 12, or it could be the last one, but and then the next card lot of 12, again, the coup card could be anywhere amongst those as well. And that way you're playing historical. You just got 5 lots of 12, and then you've got the 5 coup cards on top of that as well. And that will make the complete game. If you're playing it non-historical, you shuffle the 68, the 65, and the 64 cards all together, and then you take groups of 12 cards, 5 groups again, and so that you could get a 68 event followed by a 65, followed by a 64, followed by a 68 again, and the events will be all mixed up. Makes for a lot more random game, and I'll show I'm not sure which one I'm going to play, so I'm going to let fate determine. Okay, let's see what kind of game we're going to get. So with that in mind, I will say 1 to 3, we will play it historical. 4 to 6, not. 1 to 3, historical. Okay, so it's not going to be a historical game. Okay, so with that in mind, then I will press on here, and this will do all the shuffling, all the mixing of the cards. I'll click full game. I was playing historical, I press it from here. So this takes a little bit of time as it sorts the cards out. And there we go. So sorry, it's a deck of 78 cards. I said 72, yeah, 78 cards. Which is 72 actual cards plus the 6 coup cards. That's where I got the 72 from. Okay, so that there is our game of cards. So the next step after that, we're all set up, ready to go. So I will explain a few of the pieces and the nationalities and what's peculiar about them. So we'll start with the NVA, North Vietnamese, okay, shown by red. They have effectively 3 types of pieces. They've got these hexagonal ones here, which are the guerrillas. They've got square ones, which are the regular forces, and then they've got the round ones, which are the bases. Okay. At the start, they've got a few bases, no regular troops, and some guerrillas. Okay. Their aim behind this is tracking their victory level, which says NVA plus bases. Right. What they're trying to do is gain control of Vietnam. And we've got these things that say NVA control. What it means by NVA plus bases is they want the population to go their way. Population is tracked on the board by these little squares numbers here. So there's two population there, one in Da Nang, one in Kon Tum, and such forth. So you've got population and provinces. It's the little squares. There's 6 in Saigon. Okay, I think these each point represents 500,000 people or something. So when the NVA take control of a province, so say they took, and excuse my Vietnamese is not the greatest, but if they take control of Quang Tri, they would gain 2 points, and that would put their total up by 2. Their aim is to get to 19. So if they had Quang Tri and they've still got the 4 bases they've currently got, their score would be at 6. They also then took Quang Nam, their score would be 7, and so on. And the more bases they've got out, the more, if they got all these 9 bases out, they'll be at 9 plus whatever control they have in each of the provinces. For them to gain control of a province, they must have more units, be it bases, guerrillas, troops, or any combination, than every other faction in that zone, in that province or city. So for them to take Quang Tri, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other factions pieces in there, even though these are Americans and these are Vietnamese, BC. For the North Vietnamese, they would need 6 pieces in Quang Tri. Irrespective that the BC are technically their allies. So that's how they gain control of a province, which will lead towards their victory. We'll go through the difference between regular troops and guerrillas later. The VC, they only have 2 types of pieces. They have the hexagonal guerrillas and they have bases. Their aims are different to the North Vietnamese. Their aims for victory, if I just move this myself out the way, is oppose and bases. So they still get victory. So at the present moment, they've got 7 points for the bases on the board. What does it mean by oppose? See this little marker here? It says active oppose. It's opposition to the South Vietnamese government, the ARVin. They are trying to make these provinces hate the government, effectively oppose the government as much as possible. And you've got 2 states for it to be in for opposition. You've got passive opposition and active opposition, actively opposing the government. Each of these provinces and cities can actually be in 5 different states. They could be in support. So you like here, you've got passive support, and then you've got active support, which means they love the government and support it as much as possible. And neutral, when there's no marker in there at all, or in opposition. So the way they get points is they multiply the population by how much they are opposing it. So if it's active opposition, it's 2 times the population. So they get 4 points for this province. So if you look over here at the present moment, their victory point total is 27. If this went to passive opposition, they'd have lost 2 points. It will drop as such. Okay, let's put it back to there. So that is their aim, is to make the people hate the government and support them. And they've got to get their score to 35 or higher. Sorry, 36 or higher. Okay, so that's their victory goal. Let's have a look at the Arvin. The Arvin have got 4 types of units. They've got yellow cubes, which is the army. They've got orange cubes, which are the police. They've got, again, hexagonal units. These are irregulars, rangers, light troops, reconnaissance units, and such forth. Don't have too many of them, but they do have them, and they also have bases. The main difference between the cubes is that the soldiers actively engage the enemy. The police help control and pacify the population and try and keep the lines of communication open. Something else we'll go into. Yes, there's a lot of moving parts in this game. There's a lot of moving parts. And the bases don't help towards victory for them, but they do help secure an area. They make the troops more effective in an area. And the irregulars, they're probably the best kind of troops to try and take out these guerrillas. How do the Arvin win? Well, their character says coin and patron, which stands for patronage. Coin control these provinces and cities. Yeah, the provinces on the brown there and the green, and the cities are in the circles. Coin control. They want to control the population. They don't care if the population like them or dislike them. They just want to control them. To gain control of a province or city, they must have more troops, coin troops, be it Americans or be it their own units, than any other, than the insurrectionists, i.e. the VC and the North Vietnamese. Okay, so to gain control in here, where there's 3 VC, we would just need to take in 2 of these guys and we gain control of it. And it's adjusted points-wise on here. And they would gain 2 points for it. Let's put those back. Okay. So that's one of the things. And then patronage. What does patronage represent? Well, it starts at 15, as you can see on there. It represents the corruption in the government. The Americans, the free world, are sending aid through to Vietnam, and the government are buying and putting money into their bank accounts. Swiss bank accounts might be anywhere they want. It's just the general country. You know, they're playing off their mates and their old boys and such forth. It's a level of, who else they're backing and supporting other than the actual effort to win the war. If they can get this up as well, and they do that by various actions, they feel that they're doing well. Much to the annoyance of the American player, which in this case will be me. And finally, we do come to the Americans. Well, they have troops represented by cubes. They have bases, fire support bases, effectively. They have irregulars. They have the Rambos. And how do the Americans win? Well, hearts and minds. They're trying to get this active oppositions into active support. They want the people to love the government. And they're going to try and do it because it says support plus available with the least amount of troops in the actual country. They've got a total available here of 23. That means they've got 23 units sitting here. Now, at various points, I'll be able to bring units into Vietnam, but the more units I bring in, my victory, I get further and further away from victory. So I've got to try and do as much as possible, get these people to love the government with the least amount of troops. And my total I'm trying to get to, and same with the Arvin, is 51. So I've got quite a fair way to go. Okay, and they have 2. So that's the way each of the factions can win the game. And a little bit of what they're trying to do. They're trying to get, I'm trying to make the people love me. So I've got passive support here. I want to make that to active support. That gives me another point. Saigon's passive support. I get that to active support. That'll be another 6 points to me. How do I get these from passive support to active support? I hear you say. Well, we'll go through all that whilst we're playing the game. I'll explain why, what for, and those kind of decisions. Is there anything else I need to explain at the moment? We've got our deck. We're almost ready to go. You can see there's cards here. These are, each faction has one. The actual word used for these are pivotal events. Again, I'll explain how and what and where these come into play, but they can't come in until at least the second coup, because there needs to be 2 new cards into this box, which again, I'll explain later, and how all this works as well. So the first thing we get to see is in this deck, we will draw 2 cards. You always see 2 cards into the deck. One that's got the word there, current, and the one that will be upcoming. So I will click the draw card. All right. So we are using, this is what's called current or active card. And this is the card that we can see that happens next. As soon as we finish working with this card, this will go into the discard. This will move into the current, and we'll get to see the next upcoming card. Okay. So I think that is us ready to play. I will explain how all this works into the next video. So I hope you enjoy, come join me on this little adventure. As I say, I've played a little bit of the Tru'ng, however that is pronounced, module already, but I haven't studied it in depth. So I'll be working through this quite slowly. There's a lot of things to take account of. This is not the easiest game on the planet, but it's not as bad as a lot of people seem to think it is. Will I be playing it brilliantly? No, I'm not a brilliant player at this. I haven't played enough different people to be a brilliant player at this. I will probably make so many flaws. I'll probably have people screaming at me, why did you do that? What was the point in that? And I don't know. Is many of my answers. I think this game has so much depth that you could play this for the rest of your life continually, and you'll never get to explore it in total. But we will be doing that together. I hope you will join me for the ride, as I already said. If you like what you've seen, hit the like button and subscribe. Come and join me. And any comments, positive, negative, rules explanations, anything like that, will always be appreciated. Until next time, bye.